Okay. So
and then following that, must have been only about a week, couldn't have been much longer than a week, I started getting nosebleeds, and my mum said, I really don't know what's wrong with you, everything's going wrong, you're getting sick. I was taking time out of work, and they were getting fed up because I was all having to have time out. And I sat on the loo, I'm sitting on the loo actually, and I'm thinking, oh no, my nose is going to bleed again. And it was then that I grabbed a piece of toilet roll, blew my nose, and that's when I found.
And was this at night or during the day?
No, it was during the daytime.
During the day?
During the daytime.
Right. And so did you discover it immediately that it came out in your nose?
Oh yeah, because I blew my nose thinking my nose is going to bleed.
Yeah.
I'm just going to have a quick look. But it wasn't bleeding. But what I had blown out was this thing.
All right, so there wasn't any blood that came out with it. It came out by itself, and you thought it was.
I thought my nose was going to bleed, which is why I gave my nose a.
So you could feel something.
Because I could feel something.
Right,
Yeah.
and you blew this thing out, and which is the object that's been at Manchester University that nobody knows what it is. And
Yeah.
Okay.
So thankfully, I had a sterile specimen tube, which the doctor had given me because of all the problems that I'd had.
Yes.
A short while before that. And I just put it into that with some water, and I'm thinking, what is it? What do I do now with it? But I was in contact with John, and I gave him a ring and said, this is what's happened. Well, I mean, I think he was in the car and halfway out down the road, without putting the phone down. I mean, he was so excited, that something had happened.
Right.
And he said to me, I've got to see this. Do you mind if I take it?
Right.
And I said, I don't. I said, I've got no idea what people are going to think, but I said, I don't want it in my house. I said,
So you said that?
Yeah,
right.
I said, I don't want it in my house. I said, if you take it, you don't bring it back.
Right.
Because he didn't want to know. And he said, well, can I do this? I said, do what you want with it, John. I said, but I don't want it back.
Right.
So he's had it ever since, which is several years now.
Right, and I can show you, because I don't think you've seen it, the little section that we actually did on my show, where I've showed all of the pictures that were published in UFO magazine.
Well, John was very kind. He did these.
Excellent, yeah.
And that was how tiny it was on my finger.
Oh yes, I haven't seen that photograph.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that's all I have at the moment of those.
All right, and what are your own thoughts on what this could be, Ellie?
Well, at first I thought it was dental amalgam.
Right.
As you would, because you're breathing in when you're in the dentist. And I had some surgery work done, but I don't know. And
how long ago was the surgery?
Dental surgery, I had that done in 93, I think it was.
So maybe a year beforehand.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I had to go into hospital under general anaesthetic to have wisdom teeth removed.
Right.
So I thought, well, maybe it was just a chip of dental amalgam.
Right. Okay. And we've seen that photograph before. We can show it again. And this is another one of the item on the end of Ellie's fingertip there. Can we take photographs of these, Ellie?
Sure can.
Okay. And all right. So, any experiences after that time then?
Only weird dreams.
Weird dreams. All right.
Very weird dreams.
And have you actually seen any UFOs outside of a dream when you've been conscious?
Yes, in the daytime.
Right. And can you describe them? And how often?
Am I allowed to quote names?
Yeah.
Very friendly with Christopher Martin, who does a lot of UFO filming.
Right.
And used to go out a lot with him over East London.
I see, right, okay.
And we used to see them there.
Right, okay, so you were actually actively going out to try and view them.
Yeah.
Any sort of accidental or sightings where...
I was at work one day with the deputy head teacher of the school I worked. We were taking a maths class in the playground, and he knew my interest. And he used to say, oh, lovely bright clear day like this, blue sky, I wonder if we'll see anything. He used to mock me as well, but I got quite used to that. I said, yes, actually, I think so. You always used to say that when something was around, I'd start sneezing.
Right.
And I did in the playground that particular day. And he said, oh dear, that doesn't sound good. Is something coming? And I looked up, and sure there was. Actually walked over.
But was this before the thing came out of your nose or after?
No, it's after.
After, right. So he would make a joke of it that this was associated with...
And he actually saw that, my deputy head teacher.
Right.
And he said, what is that? I said, that is what I see. It's not making any noise. and it split into three and disappeared in three different directions.
And at that time you had this feeling in your nose?
No, that was after.
That was after. Right, okay. All right. Now, is there anything else that you want to add to this, Ellie? Have you got? I mean, you've got a big pile of drawings there. Do you want to go through them?
Yeah, well, a bit of everything actually. The UFO network, which is there's another one there of our.
Okay, that's of
the other one.
The artifact that came out of Ellie's nose. Okay. Because I was running a UFO network. I used to constantly, if I saw something strange, I would contact the newspaper. So I began getting called the UFO lady in Southall. Elaine's convinced UFOs are more than mere sci-fi. Okay, and there's an article here. And that was in the women's section of...
That was the local newspaper.
Local newspaper, all right. We can take photographs of these and then I can put them on the screen.
There's another one.
Okay. Alien spotter, did you see Southall UFO? All right, so this is from, shortly after the time, October 24th, 1997, Elaine Waite, 42, spotted the metallic globe earlier this month in the southeast sky as she was walking to work along Dormer's Wells Lane.
Yep. Right. Because I run a UFO group from home and we dealt mainly with letters coming backwards and forwards from other like-minded people. One particular person that I was in contact with in Woolwich, Southeast London, we used to play games with the postal service to see if any of our mail was being intercepted, and sure enough it was.
Right.
That's ripped open before I even get to open it.
Right.
We also have something else here, which was looks as if it's actually been dunked in something. The picture concerned was the person's rude backside inside the envelope, just to see, if they. If you see on the back there, we put lots of little messages for whoever was watching mail. Right.
So you're convinced that your mail was being tampered with then?
Oh yes, absolutely. And I had ongoing arguments and complaints with the postal service that Harrow, I think Harrow was our local area.
So how many UFO, people will call it that, were you in touch with at any one time with your UFO group?
With my UFO group, there was at least 20.
Right. Sending mail
to each other with things that we'd seen and things that we wanted to do to get the group noticed.
Okay. Yeah. Now, can we talk about your daughter briefly? Is that okay?
We can.
Right. Now, incredibly, I've got some images here. Something came out of Elaine's daughter's nose, and we haven't had them analysed with an electron microscope, but I don't know if you've seen that.
I haven't seen these, no.
That's because you gave this object to John Hanson that came out of your daughter's nose, is that right?
No, she sent it herself.
Oh, she sent it herself. All right. So we'll take a look at that. This is just done with a very cheap microscope that I bought from Maplin. So these are 1 millimeter in length.
Oh, okay.
All right. So it's around about the same size as the thing that came out of your nose. It's just under 3 millimeters long, and it looks to me like it might have a tubular structure. I need to get this. We really need another electron microscope photograph of this thing, which I will try and do. But it certainly looks a little bit different to what came out of your nose, but same proportions, and it is sort of hook-like in appearance.
That's correct.
So just give us the background of that then, Ellie, with you.
Well, all I know is I was in London last summer, and my daughter phoned me to say something had come out of her nose. And I said jokingly, "Oh, you're trying to copy me."
This is summer 2012.
Yes, summer of 2012. I was down in London.
She's 30-ish?
She's 32.
32?
Yeah.
And she has 2 kids?
She has 2 children, right, yes. And I asked her to send me a photo via phone, which she did. And I said, John Hanson would be very interested in seeing this, as he had my artifact, as we like to call it. And so basically what happens, I know very little of the details of what happened and how she came about finding that. But she sent it to John, to John Hanson. And actually we hadn't due to commitments, family commitments, we hadn't really sort of chased up on you know, what happened to it, but he did receive it.
Now I looked at the second artefact which came out of Ellie's daughter's nose under a microscope. This was quite different to what came out of Ellie's nose. It looked metallic, as you can see. A simple test with a magnet showed that the sample is most likely made of steel. Now, my conclusion is that this artifact was probably just a piece of thick wire or perhaps a bristle from a metal brush, completely different to Ellie's artifact, which is non-metallic.
The thing that came out of your nose, when would it have been? Last summer, I showed a scientist, a cell biologist actually, professor of cell biology, the photographs of your artefact.
We can't call it anything other than that, because
if you call it an implant, then
it's not an implant unless somebody can prove it to me. It's an implant.
You're assuming that it's been put there by someone, but it's the hook on the end that fascinates me, because it looks like it's been designed by somebody to me. And well, what the scientist said to me was that you could analyze what's inside it, but he would have to destroy it. So I think he said he would put it in some resin and then they would cut it.
Yes,
cut it along the
like a biopsy.
Along the long axis, and then electron microscope scan the inside of it.
Yes.
To see if there's anything in there.
I would be very interested to see.
You would be, right?
Very,
okay.
very interested.
Well, I will endeavour to liaise with this scientist and see if we can.
Because when you take into account how thin it is, I mean, it's like a human hair.
Yeah, a little bit thicker, probably.
Probably a fraction thicker.
Yeah.
I'm open-minded. If somebody can prove something happened, then I will believe.
Right. All right. All right. And what's that one? Is that?
I think that is from the Manchester University. You know, with the.
Oh right.
The thing.
This is. It looks like. A mass spectroscopy graph of the different elements that they found in there, and they said it was made of hydrocarbon, but they couldn't be more specific. So they don't really know what it is, do they?
No, they don't. They don't. Absolutely not.
Well, further investigation is certainly required, and I will endeavour to do that, and I will keep in touch with you, Ellie, if I get any results. But unfortunately, that thing will probably have to be at least in part destroyed in order to find out.
I don't want it back. If you find out what it is and how it got there.
Right.
I mean, America at the moment, they are wanting to tag, microchip the residents.
Yeah.
Has that been going on here?
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
I mean, I've had several general anaesthetics, and so has my daughter.
Right.
So we're just wondering if we've been tagged.
Right. Okay.
That's a whole new dimension.
Yeah, that's an entirely different subject. Yeah,
I'm wondering if that is a tag.
Yeah, well, I'll just briefly touch on that. A lot of people think that if people are being implanted by things such as came out of your nose, let's hypothesize that's what it is. Some people suggest it's a tracking device to find out where you are, so they can find you again. Okay. Now I'm more of the mind. I think it could be something even more sophisticated than that. And this, I'm hypothesizing here. I'm not saying we need to get the tests done, right? That it could be what in engineering you would term a data acquisition device. In other words, it's sending information about you to somewhere else, acquiring information. Maybe your mental state, your physical state, your heart rate, about you, rather than just where you are.
Well, I always joke that since I've never ever suffered with nosebleeds in my life until 94.
Right.
I am suffering again now.
Are you suffering again now?
So I jokingly say to my friends that know about the artifact, oh well, we're probably going to see number 2 soon, because my body tends to reject most things, you know.
Right. I should have brought my electromagnetic wave scanner and maybe done a bit of
you should have done.
Yeah.
Because my mum said, "You sure it's not your nose piercing causing the nose?" I said, "No, Mum, it's not. It feels higher up than that."
Well, let John or myself know if anything transpires.
Yeah, I will investigate.
All right then, Ellie. We'll let you know when this is going to air, and I think you're a very brave lady for relaying this story, because it is an incredible story, but it's got some physical evidence in it, and that's why it's so important. But thanks very much.
You're welcome.
That's all for today, and remember, believe none of what you hear and only half of what you see. I'm Richard D. Hall. Good night.